Is your father kind of weird? Well, we're going to go on a father that was off his rocker. Lee Monroe Betterton.
Ladies and gentlemen of all ages, boys and girls, thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of Angry Meat Production. We appreciate you coming in and letting us be a part of your lives week in and week out. We hope to do our best to present you with something that your eardrums delight in. Whether you're looking at us on YouTube or Rumble, or listening to us on Spotify, Google, or Anchor, or any of the other podcast services that we are currently on or trying to get on. We thank you. And if you don't mind, at the end of every episode, stop by, leave us a comment, leave us a like. If it asks for 5 stars, we'll take 5 stars, even if you don't like us. 5 stars are what it's all about. With that being said, we hope you enjoy our attempt to make our advocation our vocation. Ladies and gentlemen, let the games begin. We here at Angry Me Production want to thank our sponsor, Mobile Notary Mindy. She's certified with the National Notary Association. She's also bonded and E&O insured. She offers a wide range of services including wills, powers of attorney, medical documents, healthcare proxies, living wills, certification of trust, assignment of personal property, HIPAA waivers, advanced healthcare directives, and 99 verification. You can find her on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Mobile Notary Mindy. You can also visit her webpage at TexasMobileNotaryMindy.com. That's TX, MobileNotaryMindy.com. Thank you so much, and enjoy the show.
Welcome, Angry Faithful. Yes, today we're going to go over Lee Monroe Betterton. It's a weird one. They call him a serial killer on this, but I think he was just an idiot. Anyways, let us begin. Lee Monroe Betterton was born March 24th, 1872 in King Prairie Township, Missouri. One of 15 children. My God, 15 children? Yeah. I guess the parents didn't have anything else better. Of course, it was 1872. So, children born to farmers Lee Land and Mary Catherine Betterton. Little was known about his childhood, but when he became an adult, he married a woman named Laura Elizabeth McCoy, with whom he had several children with. The couple lived seemingly normal life on the farm in King Prairie Township, with Betterton's only criminal conviction being for non-payment of fines. In 1904, however, their marital life became strained, with the pair arguing frequently. During one such argument, an estranged Betterton beat Laura into unconsciousness, prompting neighbors to swoop in and rush her to the nearby hospital, where she soon died from her injuries. From reasons unknown, Betterton was never charged in her death. Shortly after, he hired a Chickasaw woman named Rose Hudson to work as a housekeeper. The pair developed a liking for one another and soon entered a de facto common law marriage. However, the relationship proved to be strained as well, as Hudson left Betterton on several occasions, but always returned to him. On December 28, 1906, after another argument between the two, Hudson left again, but felt compelled to accompany Betterton to Vernon, where he had sent his children to live with their grandfather. After staying with them for some time, the pair decided to return home, boarded a train. On the way, Betterton drank a few pints of whiskey. Jesus, pints? That's a lot of whiskey. A lot. Pints. It's like that much. It's it's probably a little bit bigger, but he drunk a couple of pints of this whiskey. Dear Lord. Anyways, and when they debarked at Pierce City, they decided to walk on foot to nearby Monarch. On the way, however, Betterton and Hudson got into another argument. In his illiberated state, Betterton pulled out a knife and stabbed her 3 times, causing Hudson to collapse on the ground. While she was laying dying, he poured whiskey on her face until he was apprehended by a crew of nearby passenger train. The men dragged Betterton to the city jail, where he rapidly confessed to the killing of Hudson, but claimed he had been drunk at the time. It doesn't matter. Subsequently, trial, Mount Vernon. Betterton pleaded guilty to the murder and sentenced to 99 years of imprisonment. Now, despite the long prison sentence, Betterton was among several convicted murderers who were paroled in September 25th, 1917. After his release, he returned to Monat, where he met a local woman named Lizanne Lockwood. I think it's Elizabeth Lockwood. The pair married in Mount Vernon on June 11th, 1918, and settled in their home in the southern parts of Monat. To the outside world, the couple lived a happy life, with only trouble they had experienced being their house burned down because of accidental fire in March 26, 1919. However, this proved not to be the case, as the couple divorced several months later. On July 1st, they remarried again in Mount Vernon, occasionally on the same date as Lockwood's daughter, Mamie, and one of Betterton's sons, Ernest. To celebrate the happy occasion, the two couples decided to visit some relatives in Bernadette, Oklahoma, where the elderly couple left the young newlyweds for a few days. On July 9th, they returned to Bernadette again for another visit. While the other family members were out of the house, Burton and his wife got into another argument, prompting him to pull out his revolver and shooting her 3 times. After Lizanne fell to the ground, Betterton attempted to aim at his daughter-in-law, but was prevented by his son Ernest. Good on you, Ernest, who rushed in the house and wrestled the revolver out of his father's hands. While alarmed neighbors came by to check on what was happening, Burton tried to pin the murder on his son, but was unable to convince anybody and was quickly dragged to the city jail. While awaiting trial on the murder charges, Burton threatened to kill himself and the rest of the family if he was ever let out. Burton's primary trial was scheduled for July 28, 1919, with Emerson acting as prosecutor in the case. After an almost 3-month-long trial, Betterton was found guilty of the murder and sentenced to death, with his initial execution date for January 23rd, 1920. On the pronouncing of the death sentence, the presiding justice expressed his disappointment at the conviction actions, reinforced by the fact that his own children testified against him. Despite the overwhelming evidence against him, Burton continued to pronounce his innocence during the incarceration of death row. Wow. Everybody seen him shoot his wife 3 times, and no, it wasn't me. What an idiot. He was granted a state execution for the mental evaluation, which concluded that he was indeed sane and aware of his actions. His new execution date was set for July 9th, 1920, which was coincidentally exactly a year to the exact date of his third wife's murder. On that day of execution, Burton released the statement to the press, which he again proclaimed his innocence, but proclaimed that he was ready to reunite with God. On noon that day, he was executed on an electric chair in Oklahoma State Penitentiary in McAllister. His finals were goodbye and God bless you all. Well, that's pretty much it on this one, everyone. This is kind of a short one, but that was really short. You know what? Since it was so short, I am gonna go do another one. I was gonna do this other guy too. Basically, you're gonna get a twofer for this one. This next one is Jack Bird, who was a American serial killer who was executed in Washington for 1947 murders of 2 women in Tacoma. He was also known to have murdered at least 11 other people across several states between 1930 and 1947. Prior to his execution, Bird had implicated himself in up to 46 murders. In 1991, criminologist Eric W. Hickey, PhD, director of Atlanta International University Center for Forensic Studies, wrote on how the Bird case challenged stereotypes of serial killers who are mostly thought to be Caucasian males, whereas African American killers typically are associated with urban violence. Hickey wrote revelations that Jack Bird, a black man, had actually stalked and killed dozens of white women in the 1940s in a dozen states, continuing to challenge the traditional held profiles of serial killers. Now, the cult murders, which he was actually convicted of, on October 30th, 1947, the home of Bertha Colta. Is it Colta? Hold on. Let's find out. Stephanie Hawkins.
Claude.
I totally messed that one up. Anyways, and her daughter, Beverly June Claude, was broken into by an intruder brandishing an axe. When Bertha tried to pull out a weapon, the predator hacked her to death. Beverly Colta was then murdered in the same fashion when she came downstairs to confront her mother's killer. 2 police officers sent to the Tacoma residence to investigate the reports of screaming from the inside saw a man ran out the back door and gave chase. The suspect was captured and taken into Tacoma City Jail, where he confessed to the killings and identified himself as Jack Bird, claiming the murders were the result of a botched burglary. 1945-year-old Bird had an extensive criminal record, including many counts of burglary and attempted murder, and had been incarcerated for a total of 31 years in Michigan, Idaho, and Utah. Bird was a transient who had been born in Louisiana in a location where he could not remember. He reported himself by manual labor and railroad Ganny dancer. What? Ganny dancer is a slang term used for early railroad workers. God, I can't say that 5 times fast. In the United States, more formally formed as select hands who laid and maintained railroad tracks in the years before the work was done by machines. The British equivalent of this term is granny dancer or navvies originally, who laid and maintained tracks. This work on the railroad kept him moving to place to place. The Bird Hex. After his conviction was announced, Bird was allowed for his final statement. He spoke for 20 minutes. Nothing that his request to represent himself had been denied, and that his own lawyers were against him. Bird then said, "I put the Jack Bird hex on all of you who have had anything to do with me, my being punished. Mark my words, you'll die before I do." Allegedly, 6 people connected with the trial died. Judge Edward D. Hodge had a heart attack within a month's sentence of his death, as did one of the fellow officers who took his first confession. An officer who took a second confession died, and did his court chief clerk, one of Bird's prison guards, and J.W. Sultan, one of Bird's lawyers, died on the first anniversary of his sentencing. So I guess, I don't know. That one right there, his little curse thing, sometimes it's coincidence. Sometimes you just gotta believe in the supernatural on that one. Because that's very coincidental. When 6 people die in something like that, you kind of believe in a hex. Bird's execution was scheduled on January 16th, 1948 at the Washington State Penitentiary, but he claimed that he committed 44 other murders and have offered his assistance to the authorities in solving the cases. Consequently, Washington Governor Murad C. Wagri granted him a 60-day reprieve, and Bird was interviewed by police officers from several other states. 11 murders was sustained, and Bird was knowledgeable enough to remaining cases to be considered a prime suspect of all of them. These interviews established the various police departments to declare many outstanding murders to have been solved. In addition to Washington State murders, Bird apparently killed people in Florida, Illinois, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, Nebraska, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. He mostly preyed on Caucasian women and dispatched his victims with an axe or a hatchet. Despite his reprieve, Bird lodged an appeal for a retrial with Washington State Supreme Court, but was denied. His appeal to the federal courts, including 3 petitions to the United States Supreme Court, were also denied. He was hung on the morning of July 15th, 1949 at 12:20 a.m. before 128 witnesses. Jack Bird was buried in an unmarked grave in the prison cemetery. So that, that's long enough for me on this one. But yeah, it's kind of weird that I wish I had more information on a lot of these guys, but sometimes you can't get a lot of information. I mean, you had to do two ones, like I did one time about the one elephant that they hanged. Murderous Mary or something. Yeah, Murderous Mary. The elephant Murderous Mary. That was a weird one. Anyways, love you guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy these episodes. Hopefully they'll come quite frequently on a different page. But anyways, everybody, thank you for watching, and goodbye.